Hi, thanks for taking the time to join us. My name's Chris Sigsworth. I'm one of the schools and colleges managers at England Rugby, and all we're just going to do on this very short video is just highlight how Rugby Union can be featured within the school games and what support there is for school games organisers and school sports partnerships. So the first thing really to start from is the why rugby makes such a good sport in education and within the club game, but also why you might consider having rugby as part of your offer. The key bit for us is that everything we do in rugby for all of our coaching courses and the way that we deliver the game is really emphasising the values of teamwork, respect, enjoyment, discipline and sportsmanship. And we know that through the way that we deliver the sport and the way that the sport's played and officiated, that develops a number of things with the people that take part, such as confidence, competence, character, creativity. And again, within our coaching and teaching courses, we really focus on how we can design the game to develop those bits. On the right hand side of the screen here, we did some work in 750 state secondary schools as part of our All Schools programme, and here are some of the outputs that the students themselves told us that they experienced as a result of taking part in Rugby Union. And again, these are one of the things for us that makes clearly there's a lot of physical development in the sport, but also it's that social development that's really important, and understanding the impact that has on students' confidence, aspiration, resilience, etc. is such a key thing. So for us, it's about taking those benefits and trying to maximise them within the game. So we know, and having feedback from school games organisers such as yourselves, that actually those bits that we've just mentioned there, our values, the way that we deliver the game and the input actually can also support a number of the intents that you would have for your competition. And actually, we would believe that in some way and with some adaptation that we can achieve all of those activity intents. And I won't on this video talk through all of them or how we can do it. But one of the big things for us that we really want to focus and really want to work with you on is how we can use Rugby Union to foster and develop those social connections, especially coming out of COVID. That's really important for young people, improving their sense of belonging, improving their connection to other students that they haven't necessarily seen, their peers, but also to adults and others delivering it. And we believe that Rugby Union within the school games and the way it can be delivered can really hone in on that intent. And we'd really like to work with you on how we could do that. And we'll talk about some of the practical ways later on in this video. So just quickly talking about all of our offers in the settings. The primary school offer hasn't really changed. It's been set for a number of years now, and that's our Mega Fest approach. And again, this is just a snippet from one of our resources here. And the Mega Fest just basically focuses on the non-contact form of the game, but using lots of different activities and making sure that we're maximising involvement of all of the students, not just necessarily the 10 or 12 students to go and represent the school in a competition, but using lots of different activities in which everyone can take part. But also within that, and covered within the resource as well, is how we can score that. So it's not necessarily about successful completions, but very much a value-based method of scoring. And again, thinking back to the intents, how we can link those intents into these games as well. So that's our MegaFest offer, and more detail within that and supporting resources within the MegaFest guidance, which I'll show you the link to later on. Within our secondary school, there's three main formats of the game. There's our non-contact format of the game, which we're branding as the Touch Union. There's our reduced format, which is X-Rugby, and clearly the full contact version, which everyone's aware of. We would say, but predominantly in our secondary schools and for school games organisers, actually the Touch Union or X-Rugby are probably the preferred formats. And again, I'll cover that why. And within each of them, there's the flexibility for school games organisers and people delivering the game to change pitch numbers, pitch size, and the rules of the game, to adapt it to make sure there's a format of the game and a way of playing that's suitable for all students, regardless of their wants, needs and motivations. We know that some, for example, don't necessarily want to do contact, so the Touch Union's a perfect way to get students involved. And really for us as well, each of these formats, they're a standalone format. This isn't a progression where we would expect students to take the Touch Union and then progress to X-Rugby. Some might, and that's great, but some might just want to go and play Touch Union and as a game in its own right, and that's absolutely fantastic and something we can support. So school games organisers watching this will probably say, well, what actually is the preferred format? What do you want us to do? Again, for us, it's a menu. You'll understand your schools, your partnership far better than we will, and it's understanding which of the formats will land best, but also how within those formats they can be tailored to best suit the needs of your schools and people within that. For us as a governing body, there's a real focus at the minute on, understandably, on attracting underrepresented groups with disadvantage, but also the female game as well, and within the secondary sphere. So anything that we can do in that would be greatly appreciated. So what are the benefits of the touch union? I won't read through all of them, but the key bits for us is because it's non-contact, it's easier to learn, easier to teach, easier to referee, great for non-specialist rugby staff coming into it, and also young leaders. As we see at the bottom of the slide there again, we know that touch union develops those physical skills that can be transferred to other sports, as well as those social skills, and especially for us around that social connection, which is so important. Again, the other bits to consider with the touch union is actually it doesn't have to be an extracurricular activity. It can be during lunch and can also be played inside, which again, thinking of the way that we as a sport can package our offer to make it suit the needs of schools is a really important bit. So X-Rugby, our reduced format of the game, which is predominantly played as 5-a-side, 7-a-side or 10-a-side, though again, you've got the flexibility within your offer to choose which. Again, there's fewer rules around contact, but most importantly, there's a reduced focus on contact and intensity of it. So there is tackling, there can be rucks or mauls, but scrums, for example, are uncontested. And again, thinking about why X-Rugby is a really good sport to consider within the school games is that we would believe that rugby is really a game for all shapes and sizes. And actually that contact element of the game, we know and we can evidence really help support students that may not be as physically active or may not be involved as much in, for example, some of the other sports. And knowing that rugby is a team sport, there really is a role for everyone of all different shapes and sizes. So we mentioned before how we would foster social connections, and we've kind of broke this into two things. We believe the game that itself will do things, will help foster social connections as a result of playing the game. So, for example, teamwork, mentioning before how important it is to work as a team to succeed, both in attack and defence within Rugby Union, but also the connections while playing the game to referees, those volunteering, and as well to opposition, which is a key bit to us, and through the delivery of core values in that. And again, naturally, within any team sport, there's that problem solving element within the game of how to be or how to succeed in attack and defence. But there's some also things that school games organisers and teachers and leaders can do, we believe, within the game. And these are some of the things we focus with our coaches on our coaching courses. And these are the opportunities for peer coaching within the session. So using students to provide feedback to other students, the use of young leaders within that and how young leaders can connect to others. But again, thinking about how the session can be designed to reward connections. So actually it might be that as a method of scoring rather than number of tries, for example. And again, just the way the games are conditioned to set problems within the game, enabling students to get into huddles and small groups to work out ways of solving and beating the game. But promoting as well within the game rules that help promote that social connection. So points, for example, for everyone touching a ball, or rewarding points for each member of the team scoring a try. So again, lots of ways that we as a sport and yourselves as school games organisers and teachers can actually help condition the game and think about the way it's delivered to really focus on those really important social connections. So finally, as I mentioned before, what support is out there? And you'll see this within the Your School Games website, also within englandrugby.com education and on the schools pages. So for school games organisers, there's a competition and games activity guide for Kids First, our primary school offer. You'll see within there as well, we've spent quite a lot of time over lockdown updating our resource to support teachers to deliver touch union and X-Rugby. So we've got lots of video resource to support. There's some e-learning to support, but within that as well, we've also got lots of activities that can be used by schools, by young leaders, by teachers to enable them to deliver those parts of the game. We've also developed our Young Leaders course, which you can also find on our education pages, which staff can download and deliver themselves. As well as our online support, we've also got happening in May and June some face-to-face delivery of Kids First Contact. So that was what we would recommend to anyone delivering the contact format of the game. And roughly there'll be 2 of these per county, free of charge to teachers wanting to take part, and we'll promote those dates and times very shortly. Finally, as well, an excellent resource which we know that a number of you utilise and benefit from is our rugby clubs, and there's around 850 rugby clubs around the country that offer age grade rugby and who are delighted to help provide with facilities, mutual club links, but also in terms of people to help referee, officiate matches, and wider support as well. There's also schools@rfu.com, and we'd be delighted to work with you to talk how we can support your delivery of rugby union within the school games. And we look very much forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for all that you're doing to continue to promote not just rugby union, but all sports. We know that it's been a tough time. We'd love, obviously, for rugby union to be part of that, and anything we can do to support you, please do let us know. Thank you.